Hi, my name is Marcus Wright. I'm the product manager for GMG CoZone. Today I'm going to show you CoZone Collaborate. So when we first log into the system, we see an approvals dashboard. This is where we can see the status of all our files that are currently in an approval or awaiting an approval process. Down the left hand side we can see various different grouping options, so all approvals that are owned by me, that have been uploaded and created by me, files that may have been shared with me, recently viewed and recently archived. We also have a folders option down here, so we can group files into different folders or projects. In the main window we can see all the files that are currently active. We can see a status of what's going on with the file and a thumbnail. So if we click into this one, we can see various details about the actual file. For instance, we can see that there are two versions, version 1, version 2. Version 1 is locked because approvals have been made on the file, and now we've uploaded a new version, which is the current version, so this is showing as unlocked. We can also see various different buttons and options available to us. Firstly, we can download the original file if we have the rights to do that. We can also share the file. So under normal circumstances, you would allow internal users to have access to the file, and we can assign different approval rights depending on their level of access. But we may also have some ad hoc users who need to access just one particular file or a particular session, and they may not have full access to the system. In this case, we can share the file, and we can share the actual access into the proof view, or just allow them to download the file itself. And by entering some details and setting the approval rights, that user will then get an email allowing them to go in for a one-time only approval session. We can also delete the file, and we can run an annotations report showing all the changes and all the comments that have been made to the file. If we scroll down, we can also see user activity on the document. So this is showing us firstly internal users, when the file was opened, if it's been opened by that user, number of annotations and number of replies that have been recorded on the file, and then any decision that's been made. So we can see, for instance, that this user here hasn't even opened the file and no decision's been made, and we can see when the deadline is on that particular file, so we know that we need to chase the user or ask another user to approve the file instead. We can also see in this view that we have some external user activity. So this is a user who's been allowed access to the file via the share option, and they can then go in and create their own annotations, and if they have the correct rights, make their own decision. We also have another option here, and this allows us to make what we call a primary decision maker, the PDM. This person, if selected, is effectively the gatekeeper then for the file. So any approvals that are made have to go through this person for final approval. In this way, we can make the approval process very flexible and easy to configure. So for instance, you could have 10 users who are all able to make changes and approve the file, or you can have the gatekeeper approach where just one person is allowed to do the approvals, and this can be set up when you upload the file at the start of the process. So if we click on here, this will then take us directly into the proof view, and we can do some markups. So when we first log in, we can see the screen is very simple and easy to navigate around. Firstly, we have the two buttons up at the top, annotate or make a decision. We can then click on the annotation tools, so I've clicked on marker, and when I click on here I can add an annotation, change, monitor. Once I do that, this window then pops out from the side, and I can see all the other annotations that have been made on this document, as well as other users, and I can toggle those users on or off depending on the view that I want to have. So if you've got 20 or even 30 different users, you can toggle each one off and make the view as simple or as complex as you wish. We also have various other tools available. So we have a text tool where we can simply drag across the text and save that text, or apply some markup tools to the text as well. And then we can save that back as an annotation. We also have drawing tools, so we can freehand draw, and we can also add shapes. So we can choose a particular shape that we want to use. Let's have this one, and we can change the colour, and then we can add an annotation. So very quickly you can decide on what you want to say within the annotation and choose a shape to allow you to illustrate that to best advantage. We can also, once we've made an annotation, if we're the owner, we can change the comment, or we can delete the annotation if we decide that it's not appropriate. And as another user, we can also reply to an annotation and say if we don't agree or if we want to change something. So a conversation can be had via the annotation reports, making it very, very interactive and collaborative. We can also zoom into the file to a very high level, and we have navigation tools which we can use to navigate easily around. We can then fit the page back, and we can also do a one-to-one fit, which basically fits the page, shows us a view of the page in one-to-one ratio. Now, because this file has got two versions associated, we can also compare the two versions within the system. So when we click on the file name, we can very easily highlight these two files, and by clicking on compare, we get what we call a side-by-side view. This isn't limited to two. We can pretty much compare as many files as we want. If we had 5 different versions, we could compare 1 and 3, 1 and 5, whatever we want to do, really. Ultimate flexibility. But we can also see that because this file is locked, we can't edit it or make any changes. However, we can with this one. If we apply the padlock, these files are then in sync. So when we scroll, they scroll together. And we can apply everything else that we talked about earlier, so in terms of views, so we can zoom right in and view the file. We can also change the view pane, so we can compare top to bottom, particularly useful if you have a lot of text to compare or prescribing information for pharmaceuticals. You can scroll back down and zoom around and see what's going on very easily. We also have the ability to compare in an overlay. So let me just change that back. What we call the overlay pixel compare. This is part of the pre-press toolset. Pixel compare allows us to compare the file as an overlay. So we can see here that we have a difference in the header, and we also have some text difference. So by adjusting the sensitivity, we can change the level of pixel difference that we can compare, and also using this bar we can see the transparency of the documents as they are overlaid. Also, as part of the pre-press tools, we have a separations view. So we can toggle between the different plates and see how they would look on the press. Finally, when we've made our annotations, we can decide what we want to do with the document. We have various different options available, so we can make the document pending if we're not happy and we want to come back to it. We can say change is required if we're absolutely not going to approve it and we want a different version to be created, or we can say approved with changes or approved. With this one, we'll change it to being approved. And then we can close the preview down, and that'll take us back into our dashboard, into here, and we can see the status of the document will have been updated. Now the document showing as approved. Uploading new files into the system is very easy. So we can either drag and drop files into here, or we can click and upload. We've also added the ability to upload multiple files at once into the system, so if we just choose these here, open them up, they all upload simultaneously. We can then set a deadline for the file, choose the folder that the file needs to be dropped into, apply access rights and add external users if we need to. We can also choose our prepress functions for the file, so whether we show overprint, whether we generate separations, and also the decision settings, so locking the proof when all decisions are made and only allowing one decision to be required. Then once we add the new approval, the file is uploaded and appears in the dashboard. We also have multiple administration settings, which I'm not going to go through in this session, but one thing to show is within each user's profile we can also change the notification settings. So if we go into this tab here, we can see various different options which can be notified to us, and we can do that as events occur, daily, weekly, or we can turn the whole thing off. Obviously it's a fine line between being spammed by notifications and not receiving enough info about what's going on with the file. So you have complete control over the level of reporting that you want to apply, from comments to approvals and then into the administration itself. Very granular set of controls. Also within the account settings we've allowed you to customize the system as much as possible. So for instance in the customize option you can change the appearance with various different color schemes. You can apply your own logo branding, and if you want to you can apply a white label setting which removes all the GMG branding and allows you to have a custom from email sent out so that there's no reference to GMG CoZone within the system. Finally, we can also allow custom domain configuration. If you don't want to have the GMG CoZone association, you can apply your own custom domain, and then that will be the URL for your particular site. Hopefully that's given you a good overview of the system. If you would like more information, please don't hesitate to contact us for a free trial and we can provide more information. Thank you for watching.